It's been a while again. In the meantime, I have created these little eggshell planters. I have a small one, a medium-sized one, and a large one, a little chicken feet. And I thought that it would be cool or fun to show you how I made it, since I made it in Blender with geometry nodes. I'm gonna show you how to do that now. So the first thing I'm gonna do is open up Blender and select the cube. I'm gonna go to geometry nodes and add a new geometry nodes. And the first thing I'm gonna do here is turn on the snaps, because I like how it just makes everything fit in a grid. That makes me happy. Okay, so from here I'm going to add a UV sphere. So hit Shift A to make the menu pop up, type in UV sphere, and then I can replace this, and that makes the cube go away and turns it into a sphere. So now we need to make this sphere into an egg shape or an oblong shape. So I'm gonna hit Shift A and transform geometry. Put that there, and then on the scale for the Z-axis, I'll just click that a few times, 1.4, that's eggy enough. Now I know that eggs have this wider area lower, like on the bottom of the egg, or closer to the bottom of the egg, on one side of the egg. But I'm going to cut part of this off anyway, so that this can sit flat as the planter does, like this, right? So I'm just going to grab this, hit Command or Control J, Command J for me, hit F2 and name this egg. And the only other thing I would like to do here is up the segments a bit. So I'm going to hit 60 and 40, and that makes it smoother. It's still kind of faceted, but when you 3D print it, it's not very noticeable if it's this small, so that should be fine. Though you could always bring it up a lot higher, but that's going to make the geometry nodes a lot slower. But eventually you can bake that in and it won't matter. So next I need to cut off the bottom. So to do that, I'm going to add a cube, a mesh cube. And if I want to see both of them at the same time, I can hold down Control and Shift and right click drag to get that. And that creates a join geometry, so you can see both things. And the other one's actually in there, it's inside, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's in there. And this shortcut will only work if you have the Node Wrangler add-on turned on. Right, I'm going to grab the X and the Y and make it bigger. And then I'm just going to bring it down a bit. And to do that, I'll use a set geometry. So Shift A, set position, not set geometry, set position. And I'm going to bring it down until it, I think that's cool. There for the egg, maybe one more. I think so. See it from the front. Yeah, looks pretty good. I see in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll do one more. There we go. Yeah. All right, so now we need to Boolean these. So I'm going to save this file now, because I mean, it doesn't happen so much anymore, but in the past, like older versions of Blender, Booleans could cause crashes, and they still can. So whenever I'm going to Boolean, I just immediately save. So to Boolean, I'm going to hit Shift A, type in Boolean, and go down to Mesh Boolean. And I'm going to take this same thing, put it into Mesh 1, and take this one and put it into Mesh 2. And now I'll connect this to the output. And there you go. All right. So I'll use this again later, so I'm just going to Alt drag it to the side. And these two guys, I'll select them, hit Command J and F2, and I'm gonna name this, I guess Boolean bottom, Boolean flat, Boolean bottom, I guess, bottom. Okay. Now we need to create, I'll stick this over here. So now I want to create another sphere. And I'm going to use noise on that one to cut out the crack of the egg. So, and hit Shift A, another UV sphere, and this into the join geometry, and again, you can't see it because it's inside the other one, but if we make it bigger, you can. All right, so I'll leave it at 1 for now, a little bit bigger. And I want to add a noise to this. So to do that, I'm going to hit put on another set position. I want to take the position of all of the vertices that exist and match that same position again. Then I want to get a noise texture and add these two together with a vector math. So I'm going to pull out from the color and hit vector math. Now make that go to the new position, and that works really well. Let me just hit shift and control and then left click on this guy so you see only him. So that's gonna create our Boolean for the crack, but it kind of got shifted over. So to put that into place, you can put a map range node on this to like move everything to work between -1 and 1, or you can just copy this over and subtract 0.5 from it in every direction, and that'll put it back in the middle. There you go. And so now this guy, I want him to cut the top of the egg. So if we go back to just seeing the egg and the new sphere, I'm going to put another set geometry, or I could just use the offset here, bring it up. There we go. We weren't looking at it. Okay. So that's cool there. And I think that if we look to the right side, I want it to go forward a bit. That's not forward. That's forward. Yeah, that's cool. Now, depending on how you scale this, or how much geometry you have, which in this case I feel like I have too much geometry, so I'm going to get rid of some of this geometry. I'm going to pull out from here and put value. And so depending on how much geometry you have here, your crack is going to have more frequent cracks on it or less frequent cracks on it. So I'm going to give it less. So I'm going to add a math here, since this is a 2:1 ratio, and I connected that to the rings. I'm just going to multiply this by 0.5. So now if I lower this value, you have less geometry to work with, which means that your cracks, as you can see here, your cracks are going to be less. And I think I like how that looks already. I'm going to leave it how it is. And now we have to make this part of the Boolean that we have up here. So I'm going to grab these, just going to put them in their own little group. So Command J, F2, and I'm going to name this Boolean. What should I call that? Boolean crack? Boolean crack. All right, so here I'll save, and I'll disconnect it from here and put it down here. And now it looks like that, which is almost exactly what we want, except that it has this part still showing. So to fix that, I want to delete that geometry. So to do that, I use a node called delete geometry. So Shift A, delete geometry, put it in there, and that deletes everything, but we only want to delete this guy. So to do that, I'm going to capture this attribute. So capture attribute. I want to capture the faces. And I want to grab a selection from here and put it into this, which is also should be at faces. Just gonna grab it from here. That'll make this little selection thing pop up. Just make sure that it's clicked on. And now we can see it hasn't really changed much, but that's because right now the geometry that's coming out of here is not going anywhere. So I'm gonna get rid of the geometry that's coming from down here by holding Control and right click slicing this away. and grab this geometry, stick it in there, and now it's gone. It's gonna save. And at this point, normally when I have this many booleans going on already, I like to save, which I already did, but I also like to bake it, because if it's baked, then Blender doesn't have to keep recalculating this every time you do something else to it. So I'm gonna get rid of that, put that there. We don't need this for now. All right, so here I'm gonna put a bake node. So bake. And now if I hit the bake, Blender is no longer gonna recalculate this. It's gonna stay as it is. So if I go back and change the segments from 60 to, I don't know, however the highest is right here, I think it might be 1024. Yeah, 1024. Nothing happens here. It's still the same geometry because it's already been baked. If I were to turn off the geometry, it would jump up to 1024 and then everything would lag. So I'm gonna put this back to 60 in case I unbake later and forget. All right, so we're pretty much all the way there. We just have to put like a solidify modifier on this. And to do that, all we need is to extrude the geometry going inward, which is gonna cause a lot of problems, and you'll see. So Shift A, extrude mesh, drop that on that. And it extruded the mesh going outwards, and it did that to all of the faces individually. So all I have to do is unclick individual, and now it's doing the same thing in every direction, but you can see a couple of problems here. Our original face is gone. It's just kind of extruding outwards, and it kind of eliminates that original face. I'm just gonna go up here and turn on face normals. So anything that's red means it's facing the opposite direction. So everything is good right now, but we want the egg to go inward. I'm gonna do this going outward right now just so you could see what I normally do, but I don't want the egg to change shape, so I will go negative in a bit. But I'm gonna bring this to 0 and go out once. So that gives it a shell. And now what I would have to do to get that missing part back, so it's like a watertight non-manifold geometry, which is what you need for 3D printing, I need to bring that inside back. So to do that, I'll grab this same piece from this big geometry, and I'll put a flip normals, because not only do I want the original pieces back, but I also want the faces to be flipped. Here I can click and drag while holding Control Shift to create a new join geometry, and now we have a front and a back. And if I turn off this side, you see I have the inside correct, but the outside's all messed up. And if I turn off this side, it goes back to what we had where the outside looks good, but the inside is missing. So now we have all of the pieces, but these pieces are still two separate pieces. So to reconnect them, I'm gonna do a merge by distance. Put that in there, and now it's one piece. And now because the extrusion went outwards, it kind of changed the shape a bit, and it gave us this weird little bump here. So I actually want this to go in. But the problem with it going in is now everything is facing the wrong way. That's fine. Just grab this, flip faces, Shift D to duplicate it, and put it over here. And now everything is good, and I'll just save, and that weird bump is gone. So I'm just gonna name this part here solidify. Normally when I do these, I save them as an asset, so I could just bring it into my new Blender file that I'm working on. But in this case, I'm just going to Command J, F2, and call this solidify. All right, so now I would like to bring this up to the origin, so I can boolean out some holes for the little feet. So to do that, I'm just going to use a transform, and because I started with, I guess, all of these default parameters with a 1 meter radius and all that, or 1 unit radius. Bringing it up should just be, oops, not scale, move in the Z. Should be just a few clicks, maybe 8. Yeah, there we go, 0.8. So it's right on the origin. All right, so here I want to create some holes for the little legs, and to do that I'll just go to the top view, and hit Shift A and add a cylinder. That's a big cylinder. So I'm just gonna scale it down. I'm gonna rotate it on the x-axis, so I'll hit R, X, and 90 to rotate 90 degrees. I'm gonna scale in the Y to make it long, and scale it a bit more. And I think that should be a good hole. And hit Control A to apply the scale, and then I'm gonna move it to where I want the hole to be, so around here, and hit R to rotate, and Control to rotate to an integer degree or to a snap degree. That way, in case I change my mind later, it's a lot easier to go back and change it. So I put 25 right now, and make that come in and out by hitting N. If I go back to the front view, I keep pressing the wrong button. If I go back to the front view, I can see it's kind of too low, so I'm gonna hit G to grab and Z to stay on the Z axis. I'm just gonna bring it up 2 notches. That should be good because it's not touching the inside of the floor, which is how my original egg is. And I'm gonna call this Boolean leg, I guess. And I want to add a mirror modifier, and click the little eyedropper and pick that egg, and that's almost where I want it. Let's go back to the top view, and let's go back to the top view, hit G to grab and move it over a bit, and I might turn it a bit more. Yeah, that looks cute. All right, once that's done, I can turn that off. Go back to the egg, save, because I'm going to be doing a Boolean again. I can grab the Boolean leg from the layers panel, drop it in here. And now when I Shift A, Boolean mesh, or mesh Boolean, drop it in here, save again, I save a lot. And I'm gonna grab this geometry, put it in there, and make sure I hit relative. And that creates little holes. And I guess I'll show you how I did the feet too. So to do the feet, let's just go to the regular layout. Hide this for now. To do the feet, I started with a plane. I hit tab and go to edit mode, and then M and merge at center, so I have one little tiny piece there. Hit E and extrude, so it extrudes that one point into a line, and I'll hit Y so that it gets stuck on the Y axis. Hold down Control to make it 1 unit long. Once I get that far, I'll go over to the modify panel and add a skin modifier to it, and that adds that. And then on top of that, I'll add a, well, I'll just grab it and hit Control 2, and that will put a subdivision modifier on it so that it's round. And then I can click smooth shading here so that it's smooth. Actually, that's not even important because we're going to be 3D printing. So I could just bring this up to 3. There you go. That should be fine. Go back into the edit mode, and if I want to see this, I'll hit the transparency mode here so I can see the points on the inside. And then I'll do E again to extrude. So now you can see how it's building I guess this is going to be part of the foot and the heel. So I actually just want it in the Z direction. So Z is going downwards, so that's a bit much. So G, Z, bring it back up, about there. Grab this again, E and this Z again, but we're going to go up. Now here again, I'm going to go to the front view, hit E, to the side, and make little bit longer to make. And the reason I extruded it again there and have this little knuckle is not only does that give me the ability to then change the direction of it by moving it this way, so you can have it like curling a little bit, but also it keeps this clean. All right, so once I'm there, I'm actually going to go back up to the modify panel, and I'm going to pick a mirror modifier. I'm going to bring that up to the very top and hit clipping, and that should be fine. I'm going to grab this and extrude it backwards even more. So E to extrude and Y so that we stick to that shape. And that's pretty much the shape that I did. I think I might have made this a little bit longer on mine, but you can also change the, I guess the girth of these points. So if you select it and hit Control A, you can change like how fat it is. But I like the way that it looked like this, so I just left it like that. And I'll go back to the non-X-ray mode and bring back the egg, which I didn't name, so let me name him Egg. All right, and of course this is too big, so from the top view, it's going to scale it down to where it looks cute. And G to come here, and rotate it the same as the other piece, scale it up a bit. And of course, we're going to bring it up 2 units like we did with the Boolean. So I'll hit G, Z, hold down Control, and go 1, 2. Okay. And if you turn on this crosshair move tool, you can see the move tool here. And if you switch this to local, it'll point in the direction that it was originally created, and I think I like it there, right? That's almost like the one that I made. I think I might have pulled this down a little bit, but you get the idea. And then from here, add a second mirror modifier to it. Generate mirror. Use the eyedropper to click the egg, and there you go. And there you go, you have your own little egg. So you can mess around with the parameters until you get something that you're happy with. And I have the 3 size eggs in the website, so if you guys want, you can buy it. But I thought it would be fun to teach you how to make one. Bye.